Hi everyone, and welcome to the Scorpio Weekly Illumination Reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. I am Lauren. Hi and welcome. So this is a slightly different format from my previous videos in seeing that I am a new mother and I am trying to adjust my schedule accordingly to be able to put out more content but with more condensed readings. I will still be posting a more comprehensive spiritual purpose connection reading mid-month, so you can expect to see those posted in addition to these weekly readings. All right, Scorpio, so all of my readings, if you're new to this, to my channel, are meant to engage the three core principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation to help you be able to better become aware of your unique, internal, authentic, and singular self and how that connects to the external environment as well as your unique spiritual purpose. So we're engaging the three core principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation to help you engage with your spiritual purpose. All right, so the first card we're going to pull here today is from the Power of Surrender deck, and this is going to help us engage with the principle of curiosity, where we are going to open ourselves up in an optimistic way towards the awe and wonder and mystery of what we don't know about ourselves, as well as what we don't know about our external environment. So we're stepping into that wonderful childlike sense of what's around the next bend. And actually, just as I said that, the lyrics from a song from the Disney movie Pocahontas just came into my mind. I haven't thought of that song in years, but just around the river bend. And there's this optimism in that song that comes through that's what the world holds for you just around what you can't see, that bend in the road. So we're stepping into that beautiful place of curiosity to help us open ourselves up this week to, again, illuminating something for ourselves about our spiritual purpose that starts with illuminating something within ourselves that we need to be made aware of. So let's see, what does Scorpio need to be aware of for this week, especially tied to their connection to their spiritual purpose? What does Scorpio need to know? Awfully quiet, Scorpios. I feel like in most of my other readings, the cards kind of just popped right out. But let's see here. What does Scorpio need to know about this week as far as their spiritual purpose? So what we're going to do as soon as a card decides to pop out is we're going to build a question around the message on the card that will help bring this very general reading into a more intimate individual reading for yourself, because the question that we're going to be asking is meant for you to ask that throughout the week of yourself, to be able to then answer that question for yourself. All right, well, card didn't quite want to come out. Let's see, if nothing else comes out, I'm just going to pick a card. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had this long for a card to pop out. So Scorpio, there is something here to be said. A laugh if a card comes out that says something like surrender stubbornness, because that's kind of what that is way too big of a chunk of cards. But you know what? This one seems to want to come out and not go back in. So this is the card we will stick with here. Surrender to miracles. That, I don't think I've had such a positive card come out for any sign this week. It says, be open to miracles occurring in your life. Feel and know that these events are real. Let go of any resistance and banish any doubt that miracles can happen. It's such a beautiful card. I mean, there's nothing negative about this card, with the exception of how we can push away sometimes the openness to the beauty of life. So when we're thinking about the principle of curiosity and about what's just around the river bend, so to speak, this message ties in beautifully to that we don't know what's just around the river bend. We don't know what's around that bend in the road, but oftentimes we are pleasantly surprised by what is waiting for us. And I get this feeling this week, Scorpio, that Spirit is really pushing you to open yourself up to some aspect of your life that you feel maybe might be beyond your reach at this point. So this can look like, a myriad of things. I feel like every single TV show we watch is comprised of something that would pertain to this, where a person is hoping or wishing for something and they don't see how it's possible. Now, this could be where you're trying to conceive a child and you've been trying and trying and trying and it doesn't seem like this is going to happen. Or you have this dream to be something great and you're not sure how that's going to be realized, or you want to move to a exotic location and you name it. There's all kinds of things. And again, seeing that we're unique individual beings, each one of us has some hope, some grand dream, some vision for ourselves that we feel can be just out of our grasp. There's this element of the fantastic and the kind of almost magical quality to when we allow ourselves to not only just dream, but to lean into that dream from a place of curiosity, to allow us to kind of open up that portal between reality and us feeling into what it would feel like to actually experience that dream manifested in our tangible reality. There's this element of the difference between just fantasizing and actually realizing that that's where the magic lies in our life, is actually stepping into where we can emotionally and on a spiritual level tap into what it would feel like to live into that beautiful dream or hope for ourselves. And that's where miracles happen. Because every single day there is somebody experiencing something that they never thought was going to happen for themselves, but what they had hoped and dreamed would. And what we don't realize is that our hopes and dreams, because they are singular to us. Now, two people can have a similar dream, let's say. Like maybe your dream is to become a famous actor and have a jet set life. And somebody else can have a very similar dream. But their vision of that dream and their perspective of it is still going to be very unique to them, as yours will be very unique to you. That person may dream about being a famous movie star and living a jet setter life, but maybe having roots in their hometown and being able to come back and help invest extra money into that. Or you have no desire to ever have a home and you just want to be a nomad. So there's always going to be these underlying currents to our dreams. And I really feel here, Scorpio, that there's this quality to something that you feel that you really want for yourself, but that you feel it's out of reach, or you feel like it might be impossible. And that this week you're being asked to be aware of that and to lean into the very real reality that it could happen for you. Again, this could be that you never thought you were going to meet the one, or you are at this point where you feel like you might not have might be too old to start a family with somebody. You might not be able to conceive a child, or you might not be able to become a doctor at age 50, or that you might not be able to live a jet set life. And yet by simply this week, allowing yourself to lean into active, what I call daydreaming, where you can build this into your meditation practice, but you don't have to. This is something where you can, as you're asking yourself this question, what part of a hope or dream for myself am I not allowing myself to believe will happen for me, or that spirit won't step in to magically make it just around the river bend, so to speak. And as you're thinking about that, and as whatever's coming to mind comes to mind for you, to even if it's you're sitting there making dinner at night, or you're just on a waiting in between meetings at work, there's this element of just actively fantasizing, actively leaning into what it would feel like. So bringing the dream from your mental sphere down into your heart sphere of what it would feel like, to where you almost get to that point where in the realization of what that would feel like, it makes you want to cry tears of joy. It makes you get what I like to say verklempt because it just would be purely magical if that would happen. And lean into that this week. There's something that's going to be unlocked in leaning into that dream that's going to allow you to be able to pick up on something in your external environment that's asking you to connect those two parts. Something within this dream or hope for yourself with your external environment, whether through an opportunity or just seeing some new avenue, some new way to go. So beautiful message, Scorpio. Again, kind of like Cancer, I feel like you guys have just been getting these like incredible readings for the past 2 months. Lots of really cool things happening for you guys. All right, Scorpio. So now we're going to pull a animal oracle card for the core principle of courage. And courage is where we get to engage with conscious decision making and action taking. And what do I mean by conscious decision making, conscious action taking? I mean that when you make one of each of the hundreds, if not thousands, of tiny little decisions you make, each day, that you are aware each time you make that decision of yourself and your unique, authentic internal self, and how you are making the decision that is within your own best interest. Now, I don't say this meaning that you should always, in a highly selfish way, be continually pushing or choosing your own self over others, especially if, let's say, you're in a family situation or in a work group dynamic. But there's this quality of being aware of the decision that you're making, so that if you do, let's say, have to concede something to the larger group, that you are aware of it as you're doing it. That you might think, okay, maybe if you're in a work situation, I might have a better idea, or I'd like to see my idea be implemented instead of somebody else's. But I know in this moment, I'm going to make the conscious decision to go with what the team has selected, because I understand that this is going to make a smoother work experience for not only everyone else, but for myself as well. Or the reverse, if you do decide to push the envelope, so to speak, then that you consciously are doing it in a way that is beneficial to the whole. That perhaps maybe in the meeting in that moment, it's not the right way to say, well, I don't think this person's idea is great, I'm going to push my own. That maybe instead you listen to the group and maybe go to your superior afterwards to say, the group selected this and I'll honor that decision, but I'd like to also present my idea because I do feel that it also holds beneficial qualities. And I just want to present this to you as an alternative solution. And that's a courageous way to stand within your power, to take action on your own behalf, but to also not do it in a way that is disruptive or disrespectful to others. So again, this is how we get to become consciously aware of ourselves, and also how we're connecting to others at the same time as we are deciding to take action and as we make decisions to follow certain paths and, again, make the decision to take the action. All right, so you guys got one of my favorite cards in this deck. You got Chameleon Spirit. It says, act as if, number 14. Now, I feel like, Scorpio, you guys got this card in one of your other readings. But when we think about acting as if, especially when we're talking about taking courageous action, finding the courage to take action on our own behalf, this is where sometimes we feel like, especially when we don't want to believe in miracles, when we feel like this is beyond ourselves, this is never going to happen for me. That sometimes when we act like we already have what we are dreaming or hoping for in our experience, we actually attract what we thought would never happen. We attract it to ourselves. So this can look like, let's say you have been wanting to find a significant other and you have not been successful. You've dated and you've just had one negative experience after another, and you kind of have given up hope. You don't believe that there's this one beautiful partner waiting for you out there, this perfect person just for you. And so you kind of just hold this off as this like dream of the, perfect partner and the perfect lifestyle with this person. Well, what happens is when you're so focused on this is never going to happen, and I'm so unhappy with how I am now, you end up not living as the best, brightest version of yourself, which would actually be what attracts the right partner to you. So this week, it's about having the courage that after you kind of lean into what that hope or dream for yourself that you feel is out of reach. Now, this could be also like, let's say you're planning a wedding or you're planning some big event and you just feel like it's so far down the line. And is it actually going to happen the way that I see it? And how are all these pieces going to come together and align correctly? Well, this is where you just need to start acting as if it's already coming together. Now, if we're bringing it back to, let's say, being with a significant other, instead of maybe perhaps turning off the, the dating apps and just throwing up your hands and saying, I'm tired, I don't want to go out anymore, I don't want to see people anymore because every time I go out, it's just a negative experience. Instead, go out and act as if you already have that perfect partner waiting at home for you. Go out and shine as your brightest self, as your most confident self, without intending to necessarily look for that other person. Instead, lean into the feeling of what it would feel like when you do go out, of if you had that perfect partner by your side, or if you had that person waiting for you at home. And that's where acting as if, and it seems sometimes counterintuitive, right? Like, I don't know, how can I act as if? It's difficult for me to do that already because I don't have it. But this is where, when we act as if we already have what we want. So for instance, let's say you really are hoping to have, let's say, change career paths to where you're doing something creative instead of maybe having, just a desk job. There's this element of act as if you already have that creative lifestyle. Build in a little creative time to your schedule every day. When people ask you what you're passionate about or what you do for a living, instead of talking about the desk job that you're not super excited about, describe to them the creative projects that you're working on. Let them know what you're working towards. Start to use phrases like, when I have I'm sorry, guys. I'm reading a message that just popped up on my screen. Got described. So start to use phrases like, I'm working towards this so that I am building this for myself. So that when I'm actually able to start working maybe a little bit more, I can shift a little more time away from my desk job into my creative endeavor. I'm starting to build my portfolio now. And by just integrating whatever that hope or dream is a little bit into every day. For instance, let's say it's something like you and your partner have been trying to conceive and you don't know if that's possible because it's been a difficult process and it hasn't happened. Well, this is where you lean in to the feeling of what it would be like to have that child in your arms, to successfully grow your family together, and that this is where you actively start to talk about your future child. Because what we don't realize is, even though you might not have the end goal look exactly like we are expecting it to. So let's say you are trying to conceive a child, and you start to tell people about your journey, and you start to tell people about how excited you are going to be when you have children in your life. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you will be able to conceive. To conceive. There could be this quality of just in you leaning into the feeling of being with children and actively stating positively that when you have children, this is what's going to happen in your life, or that you're starting to change your life to make room for when you have a child. Let's say you are slowing down on maybe you're not working so much so that you can give yourself that time to start building in space for when you do have a child. That you'd be amazed at how, again, our spiritual purpose will connect, but maybe in a slightly different way than what we expect. That maybe it isn't you being able to conceive your own child, but perhaps in making space for a child in your life, one enters, divinely guided. That maybe there is an adoption that is brought into your life. Or maybe there is all of a sudden, as you're looking to bring children into your life, as you lean into what it would feel like to be around children, that suddenly you have a teaching opportunity. Or that you realize, wow, I never realized how much children are important to me. And this is now something I want to pursue. So this is why it's important to lean into dreams and hopes, but not be so dead set on miracles happening in ways that we imagine they're going to happen. A miracle is a miracle because we can't imagine it. It is something, when you think of when we talk about miracles, miracles are when it is truly a miracle. When somebody who is told they only have 3 weeks left to live suddenly beats the terminal illness. Shockingly so, and they might be the only one who's ever done that. And that is a miracle. Now, we could say that their hope would be to live maybe just a little bit longer, or their dream is that they can live 5 years instead of the 3 weeks, but instead they're gifted with the impossible, almost. So there is this element here of being able to open yourself up to what is destined on the other side of what we can't control. But what we can control is our dreams and our hopes, and not giving up on them, because they're important to follow. They're important to take courageous action on. And it really starts with acting as if we already have faith that it will be. So very important this week. And this is like a practice. It's difficult to act as if, right? But it's also what opens doors. So whenever I get this card, I always have this image of somebody talking their way like out of the line into a bar, where there's this quality of being able to just like walk up and be like, yeah, I'm on the guest list. Oh, you don't know who I am? Well, I'm somebody important. Let me in. And people are flustered and just let them in. And there's this quality to that the more we act as if, the more the world just sees us as that. And so the doorways start to open for us to actually manifest that, for us to actually step into being that more and more and more, just like the person kind of just barging their way, talking their way into being led into a exclusive club or bar. I know it's kind of a strange analogy, but it's what I always see. All right, so now for your last card, we're going to pull a card here for contemplation. And contemplation is where we get to learn, we get to continually self-educate through direct experience, meaning that we get to take a look at the consequences of our actions, we get to contemplate on them, and we get to be able to learn from them. So let's say we are curious about something. We then decide to take action from a place of conscious awareness. And then here we get a chance to see, okay, so what was the result of that action that I took? And this is where we get a chance to be able to say, okay, wow, that brought in an amazing reaction, and I'm going to continue to take action like I did previously. Or it can be the reverse. Wow, I didn't get quite the reaction I was expecting, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to be curious about possibly how I could do this a little differently, so that when I choose to take action again the next time, I'm going to change it up a little bit. So this allows you to continually be in a place of conscious awareness as well as conscious learning. You're continually learning from your direct experience and engagement with life. So we have not for you, and it's the number 6. So I like, now obviously when this card comes up, when we're asking a question, is this for me? And you're like, I don't get it. I'm being asked to believe in miracles, and then here comes this card, not for you. But what this is saying, so the number 6 is a really powerful number in numerology. It's the number of spiritually working together towards a common goal. I often see the number 6 kind of tied into the sign of Aquarius. There's this element of working together for the common good. There is this element too with the number 6 that it looks actually like a pregnant woman. So there's this quality of creativity and creation and birthing something new. 6 I often associate too with the home. And there is this quality here of that when we're thinking about kind of the spirit, the greater collective spiritual experience, that often we can feel that something is not for us. And we will look for the signs, kind of like the fortune cookie here, to tell us that something's not for us. That we are, asking that question of, will this ever happen for me? And then we open up something and we're like, yep, see, it says it's not for me. This is my sign. And in reality, what we don't realize is that miracles don't happen just on their own. I'm trying to see how can I explain this. We have to engage with life for miracles to happen. We can't just hide parts of ourselves and hope and wish that somehow that part of our dream or hope is going to be realized. We have to, and this is where when I talk about living your inner authentic self into life, this is what I'm talking about, is that it's all about bringing forward those hopes and dreams, making them known, and bringing them into the greater collective human experience, to where then the external environment and the people around you can help you birth those dreams and hopes into reality. So this is where, in contemplation, where you can start to become aware of where perhaps you've already set up this kind of barrier between yourself and this hope or dream, and where you just feel like, well, not for me. See, another sign, not for me, not for me, not for me. And where you're holding and hiding and not sharing this innermost part of yourself, where you're not engaging it, where you're not putting it out there vulnerably to be seen and to connect with the greater spiritual experience. Additionally, I'd like you to contemplate as to why you think this hope or dream is not for you. Why do you feel that something would be withheld from you if it's something that you truly desire, if it's something that when you lean into it and you pull that down from your head and into your heart and you experience it emotionally and it brings you so much joy, why would you feel that that joy would be withheld from you? And this is where we can actively start to step into connection with the divine, connection between the beautiful partnership that exists between us and the divine design between everything. That we are meant to feel joy. We are meant to feel meaning. We are meant to experience our inner selves manifest in the external. So there's this quality here of really getting down to, as you're meditating and as you're contemplating and as you're kind of learning from your direct experience and how you're engaging with just events and people and things that are external to you, seeing where you're actually blocking yourself off from believing that you are meant to live a joyful, happy, meaning-filled life where you are emotionally fulfilled on the level that when you think about that one thing you really want for yourself, that feeling, where are you not allowing yourself to believe that that's for you? And bring that back to yourself and realize you, as we each hold our own individual potentials for this lifetime. We each have a puzzle piece to fill that will allow us to become a greater part of the collective experience. And when that happens, that's when we get a chance, when we step into that role for ourselves, that's where we feel inflow. That's where we feel joyful emotional fulfillment. And we're not meant to have those innermost desires held at arm's length. We're here to engage with them, because that's basically the illuminating light that keeps us keeps us going forward. That is, if for those of you who are familiar with the tarot, that is the star card. That's a message behind the star card in the tarot, that we know that each one of us deep within has our own kind of North Star, and that is our guiding light. That is what, despite everything else that will happen, that is what will remain constant for us. All right, Scorpio, I hope this has been an illuminating reading for you for this week. I hope you do surrender to the power of miracles, and that whatever you are hoping for yourself or dreaming for yourself, I hope that you know that it is meant for you. Now, if you'd like to book a personal tarot reading or a one-on-one coaching session, the link to my website is in the description box below. Obviously, I am very grateful for likes and subscribes, but they are not necessary, as just being able to read for you guys is my emotional fulfillment of one of my dreams. So thank you for watching. All right, Scorpios, have a great rest of your week. Bye.